was the intervention of the Nigerian Press Organization, NPO, the umbrella body for all the leading institutions of the Nigerian media landscape. Under the auspices of the NPO, its chairman, Unduka Obaibina, and respected elders, Uncle Sam Amuka and Alhaji Samaila Isa Flutua, the NBC met with DAAR Communications to find an amicable resolution of the issues that led to the suspension of the licenses and subsequent issuance of the shutdown order. After several meetings, we reached an agreement which also became the basis of the court judgment that was delivered 2 days ago. We want to especially thank Uncle Sam Amuka and Alhaji Samaila Isa Flutua, who hosted the conciliatory meetings, and especially Unduka Obaibina, the chairman of the NPO, for his remarkable effort in brokering the settlement. He ensured that the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria did not join the bandwagon of an almost Pavlovian reflexive condemnation of the NBC, but chose instead to find a way for the contending issues between regulator and licensee to be amicably resolved in the overall interest of the country. For the information of our colleagues and all Nigerians, NBC and DAAR Communications PLC agreed as follows. 1, that DAAR Communications PLC shall furnish the National Broadcasting Commission with a concrete and realistic proposal for the payment of its outstanding license renewal fee for the National Network Broadcast License, radio and television. 2, that DAAR Communications PLC shall take the necessary internal steps to ensure balance in its news coverage, especially political commentary, on the DAAR Communications PLC stations across the country. 3, that DAAR Communications PLC shall take full editorial responsibility of the use of content sourced from social media and all and any other outlets. 4, that DAAR Communications PLC shall ensure that all programs transmitted on its TV and radio stations across the country comply with the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, the National Broadcasting Commission Act, Cap N211 Laws of the Federation 2004, and the Nigerian Broadcasting Code, as may be enforced and as amended from time to time. 5, that the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, shall withdraw forthwith the suspension of the National Network Broadcast License, radio and television of DAAR Communications PLC. The terms of settlement were consequently filed and entered as a consent judgment of the court in suit number FHC/ABJ/C5/595/2019. On the basis of the judgment, I would like to use this opportunity to inform the Nigerian public that the National Broadcasting Commission has withdrawn the suspension notice issued to DAAR Communications PLC. We want to reiterate our full confidence in the Nigerian legal system, and we urge that DAAR Communications PLC would take necessary steps to abide by the terms of settlement entered as judgment of the court. As we all know, the court accepted these terms as basis of the consent judgment, and the judge ruled accordingly. A careful reading of the terms of settlement will show that the National Broadcasting Commission had operated strictly according to its mandate as enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution, the NBC Act, and the Nigerian Broadcasting Code. A lot of individuals and bodies interpreted our actions from various subjective prisons and launched scurrilous attacks on the NBC. An orchestrated media campaign was also launched, with a desperate intention of delegitimizing the National Broadcasting Commission's regulatory functions and powers. But we will continue to firmly operate at the most disciplined professional levels and as a lawful regulatory body for broadcasting in Nigeria, just as we will not stop engaging with our licensees in the over 700 radio and television stations in our country. We do not relate with licensees on the basis of the political parties that they support or any such subjective platforms. We hold our licensees to account only on the basis of their fidelity to the Nigerian Broadcasting Code. The duty of regulating broadcasting within the Nigerian socio-political environment is a very challenging task. We're in a search of unending conspiracy theories, a persistent pattern of refusal by many licensees to meet their obligations. There is also a strange sense of entitlement that is expressed in a pattern of name-calling, blackmail, and anger at being called to order, regulatory order. Licensees often ignore the terms of their licenses, and over the years have accumulated debts totaling over 4 billion naira owed to the National Broadcasting Commission, which they don't expect to be reminded to pay or want to ever pay. And they also assume that the NBC dares not wield its regulatory powers. In recent times, the new pattern that has developed is that licensees are even telling the regulator how much they want to pay. And within this developing pattern of behavior is a sustained campaign of negativity against the NBC in the conventional media and also on social media platforms, where literally a lynch mob was sent forth against my own person. There is also the troubling pattern of leakage of official communications between the regulatory institution and licensees on several social media platforms. These are the unfortunate fallouts that come from doing our very difficult job. But this is a job that is very necessary for the good order of our very dear country. But I want to reiterate that there is no licensee that is too big or too small to be regulated. We are not, and we will never be a censorship institution. The NBC Act does not give us such power, and neither did the Nigerian Broadcasting Code. We remain a regulatory agency that remains committed to ensuring that Nigerian broadcasting, in the words of the Code, shall influence society positively, setting the agenda for the social, cultural, economic, political, and technological development of our nation for the public good. In doing that, we will firmly ensure, as the Code further stated, that no broadcast shall encourage or incite to crime, lead to public disorder, be repugnant to public feeling, or generally be disrespectful to human dignity. Our duty, according to the Code, includes reminding our licensees that they exercise freedom of expression as agents of society, not for any personal or sectional rights, privileges, and needs of their own or of their proprietors, relatives, friends, or supporters. Our regulatory duty is carried out to ensure that Nigerian broadcasting adheres to the general principles of legality, decency, truth, integrity, and respect for human dignity, as well as the cultural, moral, and social values of the people. We will therefore deepen dialogue with the broadcasting organizations of Nigeria, BORN, so as to encourage, in the words of the Code, self-regulation within the framework of professional standards. We will maintain our respect for the Nigerian Press Organization, and will continue to fairly use the Code to assist the public to uphold them as a benchmark for their right to quality broadcasting. Furthermore, the code is guided by the ideals of transparency, consistent with the best service delivery principles. And talking about the Nigerian Broadcasting Code, I would like to inform you that the 6th edition of the code will be officially launched in Kano next Thursday, July the 4th, 2019. I would like to remind all our stakeholders that work on the 6th edition of the code had actually been completed since 2017, but we have been unable to release it since then because of a combination of circumstances. Happily, the situation changed, and we'll be able to release the instrument to the Nigerian broadcasting industry next week. Let me also state that even though the code derives from the provisions of Section 21H of the Act, the NBC nevertheless works very actively with the industry, broadcasters, media intellectuals, and civil society groups working in the media to ensure that we have an instrument that has been democratically produced by all of us. We look forward to receiving all our stakeholders and our colleagues in the media at the launch of the 6th edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Code in Kano next Thursday. On the digital switchover project, I would like to inform that there are positive developments. The federal government and President Muhammadu Buhari remain fully committed to the success of the project. We are working to conclude the installation of facilities for Gombe, while our stakeholders are determined to move into the biggest media markets of Lagos, Kano, and Port Harcourt in the near future. That is part of an elaborate nationwide rollout plan, along with a definitive timeline for the switch-off of analog transmission in Jos, Abuja, Ilorin, Kaduna, Enugu, and Osogbo. The new timetable will be released once it has been approved by the Board of the Commission. However, soon as we conclude the analog switch-off, we'll direct that pay TV operators desist from further carriage of free terrestrial television channels. They will become available only on our free TV proposition. The quarterly release of the breach profile of Nigerian broadcasting stations for the first quarter of 2019 is ready. 440 infractions were recorded in the period. 62 infractions are on the use of obscene materials. 203 were on hate speech and politics-related infractions. 55 were for lack of professionalism. 54 for unverifiable claims. 17 were for technical breaches, and 255 were breaches over advertisements. Out of the 444 infractions, 155 cases were penalized with various degrees of fines. We'd like the public to note that the quarterly breach profile of broadcast stations is always made available on all our social media handles. Thank you very much for your attention. And then we have a 15-month. I'm beginning to tell you what I shouldn't tell you. Right? I have to wait for the commission, the board of the commission to approve. But essentially, we are going to take certain steps, even while waiting for money to come. But the most important is that we want to go to the biggest market so that you get a definitive presence of DSO in these very big population centers. And the 15-month timeline that we have will also touch every state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the major the major population and demographic points in the country. So let's keep hope alive, because I think it will work well. The question of payment, stations are owing us over 4 billion naira. And as I said, we've come to a new situation where licensees are telling us this is what they want to do. It's a new phenomenon. Literally, where people come into the business from the beginning, they know these are the rules. they get a license, and then they want to upturn the rule. But it's not going to work that way, because these standards were set in law. I did not make the law, we didn't make the law as individuals. There are rules and there are laws setting up the National Broadcasting Commission as a regulatory institution. And anybody who applies for a license to be a broadcaster knows that these are the rules that you have to follow. So we're going to hold every licensee accountable to the terms of the license that they're holding. That's a very simple way to put it. It's not an issue for polemics, and there's no basis for polemics actually. Then somebody said, "Oh, that Adebola, you're asking about the 60." Yes, we're going to do analog switch off. Everybody has to be on the platform. If you're not going to be on the platform, then you're not going to be watched in Nigeria. It's very simple. And the way it's going to be is that more and more, we're going to have national stations, we're going to have regional channels, we're also going to have city channels, so that you can belong to a particular niche. Is it that you want to be watching in a particular city? Do you want to be seen in a region of the country? Or do you want to be part of a national bouquet? If you're part of a national bouquet, then you also know that you're going to pay X amount of money. If you are just being watched at the regional level, you're going to pay X amount of money. One question that has come, especially when we interacted with broadcasting organizations in Nigeria a week or so ago, was that, okay, if somebody is going to be on the national bouquet and you're going to pay 500 million as your license fee for 5 years, and at the moment you're not being watched all over Nigeria, what happens? We're going to prorate the money so that at least you then pay for where you're watched. And then as we then increase the areas of coverage, you pay more. And if you're not paying more, then you stay at that level where you've paid for. It's very simple. My duty is not to comment on what a foreign observer or some foreign observer group says about Nigeria. That's their view. This is an independent country. This country became independent in 1960. And our people fought for independence. We're no longer a colony of Britain or of the imperialist countries. So everybody has a right to express a view. This is my view. I have my personal views if you want, but I can't express them in this forum. But we're an independent country. Our rules, our laws are the rules and laws of an independent country. I hope that makes sense. Yeah,